Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with the few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Whoa, dudes!
Hey!
We're back! We've made it back. Hey, Vince. Hey, McLean. We have returned. We apologize for last week. We were just unable to come to the studio, but we missed you guys, and we have returned. Last week we saw movies. This week we saw movies. We're going to be talking about those movies. We're going to be telling you what happened, and if you didn't know what happened, then buckle up, Buttercup, because we're gonna go over all of it. So yeah, and I haven't seen this guy in like almost 2 weeks. It seems like it's like what the heck?
Yeah, other than just a brief passing there.
Yeah, I shouted at you on the street, and you're like, "Bro, did you see Fast and Furious back up here?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What'd you think?" And I was like, "Yeah, we'll talk about it tomorrow." And so anyway, but we're gonna do that. I went and saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood last weekend. We're gonna be reviewing that guy later in the show, and we also both independently got to check out Fast and Furious Hobbs and Shaw. What do you call this movie? Is it just Hobbs and Shaw? Is it Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw?
Yeah, Fast and Furious Presents.
So
you know what else Fast and Furious has presented to us?
What?
I got us.
Did you get a present? What?
So that you could have any brew you want as long as it's a Corona.
Now, what character says that?
Dom in the first movie, man.
What Dom says.
It's when he invites the Buster.
Good thing I always have.
Pass one over there to our boy.
Boom, there we go. Just over there, the Mr. Producer, you can get one. Yeah.
Live that Fast and Furious terrible. Oh, thanks, man. Terrible beer, Fast and Furious life. I'll drink it like Dom Toretto. You hold it just by the neck.
It smells just like my thoughts on Hobbs and Shaw.
Just angry. Family.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to be talking about that.
Tastes like bad '90s parties.
We're going to be drinking. Here's to family, to family. You know. All right. We're going to be reviewing that in later in the show. But we've got a lot of stuff to cover. We were gone for 2 weeks. I mean, we can't obviously go over all the news because there's a whole bunch of it. But there's a couple things that I wanted to mention. There's a teaser trailer to the resurgence of Are You Afraid of the Dark, just on the coattails of the resurgence of the film Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Like all the 90s, like children's horror. I mean, we're going to probably get another Goosebumps. We're going to,
So, fans of the show know that I don't care for horror or thrillers. Like, that's not my thing. But I'll tell you what, man, growing up, I was real big into Goosebumps. I had all of those Scary Tales to Tell books. I got those at all the Scholastic book fairs. I watched Are You Afraid of the Dark?
And it traumatized you forever.
Maybe that's why I'm not into scary stuff now, because I was just really, really into all of that then. I was big into Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
right there.
Slimer back here in the back here.
Yeah.
If you're watching on the live video feed, which you can check out on our YouTube channel, we do this live every Monday, or our Facebook feed, facebook.com/thedriving-speakerbox or youtube.com/thedriving-speakerbox. If you're just listening to the audio-only podcast, which can be found at anywhere podcasts are available. But the Are You Afraid of the Dark teaser is out there, so you're going to get a feature-length film of that, and it's just going to be 90s children's horror.
But is it going to bring in like a new cast of kids, or is it going to be like the old, like Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I don't think we're going to see Ryan Gosling in a backseat of an old Studebaker again. But wouldn't that be fun?
Well, I'm talking like the ones that told the story. What was their name?
Was
like Campfire.
I submit to you the Midnight Society.
Yeah.
The tale of Trapped in a Mall After Hours.
And then like they would zoom in on the flame and
yeah. So has anyone ever bought those like flame crystals that you put in the campfire? Because like when I saw Are You Afraid of the Dark, I was like, dude, I want to get one of the handful of that magic ghost witch's powder so that I can be like, submit to you this cool freaking trick before we do s'mores. And then I bought some, And I bought one pack, and it was like $1.99 for a pack, and you throw it on the fire, and it like goes like for a second. That was it.
You have to get like a big old handful, like in the movies.
No, I got the whole thing. And it was $1.99. It was supposed to be like glows, crackles, blue, magic flames. And I was like, that was like the not magic. It was the anti-magic. And I was like, well, maybe I just didn't buy enough packets. Maybe I need to get more packets. So the next time I had a bonfire with my friends, and granted, I'm a grown-ass man, and I was doing this as a grown-ass man, not a child. And so I was like, well, I'll just go back with my grown-ass like ability to buy things. And I'm going to buy like 20 of these things. And so I spent like $35 on like blue fire crystals, and I was like, all right, now it's gonna be Are You Afraid of the Dark like times a million. And it still didn't even get there. It's like they're using some contraband, some like off market, south of the border blue fire spook tailing crazy powder.
It's almost like they had a production team, and they like had someone that they hired for the pyrotechnic stuff to provide that.
I know. As if movie magic. But speaking of campfire tales, some of our viewers are talking about campfire tales.
Crickets and tumbleweeds.
Have you ever, totally unrelated but movie related, if you've never seen, what's the Broken Lizard that does the Super Troopers? Mm-hmm. So their other film, which was Camp Dread, I want to think.
Club Dread.
Yeah. Well, there is a scene in Club Dread that is one of the best campfire story scenes of all time. And it's this long, slow burn joke that I don't want to give away if you've never seen it, but it's about this guy and his machete. And he goes around and he's killing all these people with his machete, and he's a machete murderer. And his name was Phil Coletti. And then the punchline is so good that I don't want to spoil it here. But if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And if you've never seen it, you should check that movie out because it's actually pretty funny.
I've seen it like 3 times, and I don't remember that.
You don't remember the machete guy? Oh man.
But then again, that movie's not like the same kind of quotable movie that you get from Beer Fest or Super Troopers.
That's true. But that scene was really good. Good.
It's not a bad
stories.
movie. But
yeah, Large Marge, another really good Pee Wee Herman campfire story, who he ends up running into in the big pickup semi. Campfire stories, man. Remember they used to be good.
Was Large Marge like a ghost story before he met her, or was it just like...
It was, he told that story, and then he ended up running into Large Marge, I think is how it went. It's been a long time since I've seen Peewees Big Adventure.
I remember the encounter with Large Marge, though.
And she had like the Danny Elfman like claymation face. Yeah, back when Danny Elfman was still cool. But anyway, let's see what else is new. Hitchhiker's Guide is headed back to the small screen. I don't know if you heard about this. Hulu is reportedly giving it a shot with Carlton Cuse and Jason Fuchs set to be showrunners on a new series based on the radio show book of the same name. I think they're going to try and modern update, quote unquote, of the classic story, which I think is something you shouldn't do. You should never, ever, 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 ever try to modern update classic stories like that. To me, it actually, let's that's a good topic. I mean, I gave you the news, Hitchhiker's Guide, Hulu, show, blah. Let's talk about something a little more important. Let's talk about the thematic, like the why remakes, the why things like this, getting a modern update don't always work. And it goes back to why I actually enjoyed the modern update of Child's Play, because I was skeptical. Because if you just tell that story again, and it's just like, well, it's 2019, here we are, and it's Chucky. And it's like, okay, this is not going to be the same. But when they were tastefully updated these things to where it fit in our time, and instead of a story about a psychopathic murder, it was a story about, like, sentient AI, that's kind of neat. But Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy took place, like, in a time where, satellites didn't completely monitor every straight square inch of our planet, and teenagers didn't try to go to Area 51 to get them aliens. I mean, it was a different time when the original content was created, and the thing about horror and science fiction that I think is better enjoyed in its time period is you can put yourself in a headspace that occupies when that was produced. Like when you watch a horror movie that was made in the 80s, that takes place in the 80s, you're just like, okay, I get it. They didn't have phones back then. They didn't have whatever back then. They didn't have the internet back then. They didn't have all this kind of stuff. There wasn't all these 24-hour, Walmarts on every corner. There wasn't all of this stuff. And when you try to update it with the same story, it gets a little weird because you're like, well, it just doesn't work because we've progressed so much. So, like, make something new. So, or just tell us a period piece, like set Hitchhiker's Guide in the 70s, 80s, or 90s. I think that would be cool. I don't know, but period pieces are hard. We're going to be talking about that later when we talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And yeah, there you go. Let's see, anything else in the news? I mean, it has been 2 weeks. There's a bunch of trailers that came out that I wanted to talk about, but we've got so... Oh, did we pour one out for... Yeah, no. We didn't get to talk about Rutger Hauer.
Nope.
We posted about it. But Rutger Hauer, he passed away at age 75 last week. We didn't get to talk about it on the show because we weren't here. But Rutger Hauer, like between the two of us, I mean, we've probably seen a vast majority of his filmography. But if you've never seen Hobo with a Shotgun, you're missing out. You've never seen Hobo with a Shotgun, have you?
I started to, but I couldn't do it.
Oh, man, you can.
It's been in my watch list forever.
Oh, you can.
I tried. I just couldn't.
Or Flesh and Blood. Or
it was
Lady
like
Hawk.
It was like a really gory movie, and it just kind of turned me off from it.
It's so stupid.
I like revenge movies. I'm really big into like
The Hitcher. Oh, man. I mean, dude.
Yeah.
But, hey, Rutger Hauer, I know we won't spend too long on it because the internet already has, but we were there. We loved him. We love those movies. The thing that I love about Rutger Hauer and his career is he's one of those actors that was not only at the very tippity-toppity of his game, like people looked at him as an amazing actor, but he was also, even at the end of his career, it's like, yeah, he wrote that monologue at the end of Blade Runner, and it's beautiful, and it's timeless, and people quote it, and it's one of the most like famous scenes in cinematic history. And he helped write that scene, and his performance was phenomenal. But then going on in his career, he later did Hobo with a Shotgun. He would do these things, and he would take roles that just are. He would do Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He would do these movies that are just like, hey man, that sounds cool. That sounds fun. Let's do it. And everybody that ever worked with him said that he was always cool to be with on set. And so
he was one of those guys that would show up in a movie, and you're like, what? Oh snap!
It's Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
But as Vince said, the biggest impression he made on him on YouTube there was the Hitcher as a kid. And Hitcher, yeah, dude, that's a good movie too. So there you go. Just reporting on that in case you missed it, but I think everybody did. We all got that out of our system. What else? There's a really cool, interesting new trailer from Robert Edgar's The Lighthouse, the director from The Witch, the two V's. And man, that trailer looks good, or awful, depending on how you view movies. If you're a fan of the drive-in speaker box and the things that I like, you're probably going to like it. If you're a fan of the drive-in speaker box and you're a fan of the things that the grip likes, you're probably going to hate it.
What? Dude, you have future Batman and past Green Goblin in the same movies in this.
Did you watch the trailer, though?
I started to. I'm not good at finishing things this week, apparently. I watched like 5 seconds of it.
Eggers is really he's an interesting filmmaker to me. He from what I've read and the things that I've seen behind the scenes, he is just this meticulous, attentive to detailed oriented director, and everything has to be a certain way, and everything has to be accurate, historically accurate, and all this kind of stuff. And this movie very much embodies not even the golden age of filmmaking, but like right before that, like a very much it looks like you're watching a 1940s film, but it's got Rob Patton and Willem Dafoe in it, and it looks creepy, and it looks cool, and it looks, it was kind of like when what was it, The Artist? I think it was that movie that came out, and it was in black and white, and everybody was like, oh, golly, wow, it must be so art. Just because it was black and white doesn't mean it's art. There's so much more that goes into that style of movie making. And Robert Eggers is taking that in consideration to the film format, the actual aspect ratio of this film that he's using, the lighting techniques, the makeup techniques, the set pieces. A lot of it wasn't until I want to say Citizen Kane that you even saw a floor ceiling in a movie. There was a lot of really interesting film techniques that, when you see movies, you can kind of peg them on technique. And this movie is like taking a trip back in time, and it from the trailer. So I'm really curious to see how it works out. But there you go. Man, we don't have a whole lot of time for news because we got to review 2 movies tonight. So. Let's talk about what's coming out in theaters this weekend. You want to do that?
Yeah. We're going to talk about The Boys at all? That came out while we were gone.
Let's talk about The Boys. And you finished it, right?
Yeah, I know. I watched it all in one night.
You watched all of it in a single night?
Yeah, actually.
Don't you have things to do?
No. Well, it was a night I would normally be working, and I did not have to work. And it was last week when we did not have the show. Mm-hmm. So I was able to watch the entire, all 8 episodes of it. And I kind of hate that Amazon got rid of The Tick just so they could bring us The Tick.
Yeah. And everybody's
what the hell, Amazon?
The Boys is actually based off of a comic book. And it's like, yeah, The Tick was published in the 80s, butthole. Like, The Tick's been around longer than most of it. So,
I mean, it's Garth Ennis. He does the, punch 'em ups, blood stuff, and there's plenty of that. But for the most part, it's just The Tick.
It's rated R Tick, which I enjoyed it a lot.
No, I didn't hate it. I just hated that they got rid of The Tick to bring us The Tick.
That's my point. In a world without Tick, if we hadn't been, I can say cock teased because we're not on the radio anymore. If we hadn't been just totally stroked to the point of needing more, or diddled, it doesn't matter. You can stroke it's just stroke has no gender.
That's not what the...
Different strokes for different folks, Grip. But if we hadn't been baited by Amazon for 2 seasons, a season of hey, we better get people used to the idea of superheroes that aren't superheroes. Let's get them used to all of these kind of counter ideas of what superhero in media is right now. Spend a whole season trying to acclimate the viewer to when they just should have thrown us in it. Just throw us in the world. Throw us in the city and just give us a face full of mighty blue justice. Just, it's awesome. But they didn't. And they beat around the bush for a season, and then season 2 hit, and season 2 was awesome.
Are you saying they should have just handed you a spoon? Let you dig in.
Yeah, for my little wooden boy, and we go on patrol. Spoon! Oh, man, it was... I didn't even get a spoon until season 2.
The very last thing.
Yeah.
Ever.
And then they're cancel. I'm all right, maybe the world's not ready for it. Nah, what we're ready for is spending quadruple the budget than both 2 seasons of The Tick on this one, The Tick, but with wieners, titties, blood, guts, and the F word.
And Elizabeth Shue.
Who killed it, by the way.
And Carl Urban.
Yeah. So with that said, The Boys is actually really fun, but it just hurts that we had to give up our Tick for this show to...
That we had our Tick taken away.
We did. It was totally taken from us.
I didn't give up.
Just like that dude's girlfriend in the first episode. That's what it was. We were sitting there holding hands with the Tick, and we're like, we might get a season 3. Oh, we're going to move in together. And then
here comes Amazon.
Yeah. And then we're sitting there still holding 2 blue antennae. And then we're look down.
And they're holding a bag labeled The Boys. And I got to keep going.
I got to go.
Yeah.
And, so... What the heck, Amazon? Man, it's going to get a second season because they set it up for it, and it's not bad. Not bad at all. What was her name? Starlight.
Mm-hmm.
Hachi machi.
This segment's called Tick
Yeah,
Off.
Vince over on YouTube. He said that this is Ticked Off is the episode subtitle.
Yeah, because here comes Prime Train, just gonna ruin everything.
So that was upsetting. Anyway.
But that said, from what I remember of reading the comic when it was still new and fresh and coming out brand new, the characters in the comic books and the characters in the show, the costumes are pretty spot on, and they're, especially with Mr. America, Super
Homelander.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
AKA every Superman spoof that Ben Edlund's done.
Greg Kinnear from Mystery Men.
Yeah.
Was it not like exactly Greg Kinnear's character from Mystery Men to a T?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, or in Hyperion from season 2 of The Tick.
Yeah.
I mean, that he was Hyperion, basically. Anyway, all right. Well, The Boys, it's out there. I mean, you watch it. It's better than a Marvel movie.
That's true.
So there you go. But movies that are coming out in theaters this weekend, let's go ahead and get at them so we can start reviewing movies because we got a lot of stuff to talk about and only so much time to do it. This weekend, August 9th, the weekend of August 9th, coming up right around the corner, we've got a handful of movies hitting theaters. First up, of course, the new, it's like from producer Guillermo del Toro, even though he doesn't have a whole lot of involvement in this movie other than kind of executive producing it. It's from director Andre Ovredal. He's got like a slash through his O and umlauts in his name. Like, your guess is as good as mine. He was probably born in like Alabama, and his name's actually Bradley. But anyway, Andre brings us Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. If you've never heard of these books, it's a series of books that you would save up points. It's the Scholastic Readers program at your library. They give you those paper thin like little deals, and they're like, well, here's real books. And everybody's like, dude, no, I'm gonna get the paper airplane book. I'm gonna get the book about Lamborghini posters, and then I'm gonna get the book that has the scary illustrations on the front. And those were the books, man. You got the Porsche like poster book, the Porsche and Lamborghini poster book, didn't you?
No, I've never cared for European cars. I got those. I got the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, man. Those were the ones that I had.
You didn't get the paper airplane book?
I mean, I was at it. That was always like a thing that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look
there
at that,
they are,
the flyer for what to expect.
And so on the back, you would check mark what book you're committed to buy, but your mom, when you actually take it home, your mom's like, I'm not gonna get you that. And then you get a little upset, and then you end up just getting one Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. You don't get the whole series, but maybe a Shel Silverstein book if you're really good.
Oh yeah, that was my jam there.
Yeah. So that movie's coming out. Looks pretty creepy. Looks pretty spooky. Also coming out from director Andrea Berloff, The Kitchen. It's got Elizabeth Moss, Melissa McCarthy, Domhnall Gleeson, and Tiffany Haddish. I think it's based off of a comic book too, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
But it's these wives of New York gangsters in Hell's Kitchen in the 1970s continue to operate their husbands' rackets even though they're locked up in prison.
This sounds exactly like that movie that came out not that long ago that had Liam Neeson and someone else that was important in it, and they were bank robbers and they got put in jail, and their wives decided to carry on doing what they were doing.
Probably.
Remember? That's a movie that already existed a couple months ago.
So when I saw the trailer for this, I was sitting in the theater I've seen this trailer a bunch of times, but I was sitting in the theater not too long ago. I think I was watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. My mom was sitting next to me and my sister, and we're watching this trailer. And this trailer for The Kitchen comes on. It's like Melissa McCarthy with a gun. It's like, you don't know me. I'm going to do what I want. Shut up, men. We got guns. And then just that trailer happened. And then the new Charlie's Angels trailer happened. And it was like, you don't know me. Shut up, men. We got guns. We're going to do what we want. We're strong. And then another trailer came on. It was like, I can't remember what movie it was, but it was like, you don't know me. I'm a lady. I got a gun. I don't need a man. I'm going to tell you what to do. And my mom literally turns over to me and she goes, holy crap.
Yeah.
Girl power much? And my mother actually goes, this pandering. Is getting out of control.
Mass pandering.
And we get it. We get it.
It may all open with that scene from Avengers Endgame where the screen is just taken up by all the female heroes who instantaneously all decided at the same time to share the screen and attack in one direction instead of fighting the enemies that they were currently fighting.
And and this is gonna hurt me to my core to say. So, you're gonna want to like clip this and save it, Grip. But why can't movies that want to have strong female characters do like Hobbs and Shaw did and actually just have naturally occurring badass females? You know, these ladies.
You mean like they used to?
Yeah, like these ladies coming in, kicking ass and just being awesome, because they are. You don't have to make a dog and pony show out of it, because the more you try to rub it in our faces, maybe there's people in the back row that still don't get it, but the more you're trying to shove my nose in it, the more weird and artificial it feels. Like, just have someone that kicks ass. Like The Rock's mom, dude. That's how you do it. She came in there and was just like, I'm going to hit you with the damn shoe and everybody going to listen to me. And you're like, yeah, you're right. Everybody had that mama. Like, we listened to you because you're the boss. Mm-hmm. And she didn't have to come do a backflip over a ninja. And,
that would have been sick, though.
And then all the Rock sisters comes up and go, this is how we do. Like, no, don't do that. Just make it flow. Make it flow normal. And then it becomes normal, and that's what we're trying to get to here. Normality. We don't want it to be a spectacle. We want it to be everyday occurrence, and the more that we treat it like everyday occurrence and not a spectacle, we will achieve equality, and we will achieve all kinds of equality: ethnicity equality, gender equality, age equality, like all of the stuff, if we stop trying to just put a big clown nose on it. Like, it's just ridiculous. So I digress. But anyway, the kitchen's coming out, and
some ectoplasmic equality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, for our boy Slimer over here.
Slimer's got to eat too.
Yeah, Slimer's got to eat. Look at it. You want to check this out? Look at this.
Dummy thick.
Look at this. Look at this Slimer booty.
Slimer ain't got no business.
Ooh. Yeah. So anyway, for those of you that are just tuning in the podcast, we have a giant Slimer. Like Vince said on YouTube there, like Pam Grier or Wanda Sykes. Like, Wanda Sykes has always been awesome. Pam Grier has always been. You don't like Wanda Sykes? Biggie Shorty?
There was a time for Wanda Sykes, and it passed a long time ago.
Her new Netflix special is really funny.
Wanda Sykes has not been funny.
Did you watch her new Netflix special?
No, because she has not been funny in a long time.
It was pretty funny. There was a really funny Trump bit about toilet paper on the shoe that actually had me laughing out loud. And I don't laugh out loud at comedy very often.
You know what I definitely don't get tired of in modern comedy today? Just endlessly making the same jokes about President Trump constantly.
No, this was
definitely doesn't get old.
Totally new joke.
Definitely unique for every comedian.
It was a new joke, and it made me laugh. Anyway, Dora and the City of Lost City of Gold.
That's a movie about a purple monkey that's coming out.
Director James Bobbin. If you've never heard of Dora the Explorer, she has a backpack and a monkey, and she. I think this movie is exactly what we need. I don't need to see it, but I think that this is a good example of how family-friendly action adventures need to kind of start to happen, and that are not just CGI animals doing people things, even though there is a monkey.
But it looks like it's going to be a toned-down, like Riverdale or Sabrina.
I mean, it probably will, but it takes place in a part of the country most Americans aren't familiar with. It's dealing with some
cool jungle. There's no jungle.
What, jungles don't exist?
Not in the contiguous United States.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Because you're not going to take Route 70 or like I-73 down to the exit 84 jungle exit. Like, no, but that's you're in South America with.
Well, that's a part of it. That's part of several different countries.
Well, I mean, my point is, so many of these children's movies that we see like take place in CGI New York or CGI like urban America or CGI animal topia or whatever. Like it's not educating youth on places that might actually exist. You know, yeah, South America's a real place. Jungles are actually real. Maybe you're not a treasure hunter, but maybe it could instill some of that, like, childlike imagination that I think has been lost on probably an entire generation. And why are we talking about Turbo Kid in the comments there? Anyway, Dora and the Lost City of Gold, it's coming out. I heard that it's okay. And then also coming out from director Simon Curtis, a little more limited release here, The Art of Racing in the Rain. It's got Kevin Costner and Milo Ventimiglia, Italian last name. Ventimiglia. He looks like a tiny Sylvester Stallone.
Isn't he the dude from...
He's the guy that literally played Rocky's son because he looks so much like Sylvester Stallone.
In one of the movies.
In one of the movies.
But isn't he the dude from that show
Heroes?
With Mandy Moore?
I only remember him from Heroes.
There's like that show with Mandy Moore that's all about people being sad, and it like jumps from one time to another constantly through all the episodes. They're like 20 years old, and then they're 200 years old, and then they're 40 or something. What's that called? It's like Story of Us, or
that sounds
Us,
like
or just
it.
something.
I think it's Story of Us. But
This Is Us. That's what it's called.
This Is Us. Yeah, that's the same
that's
guy.
the dude from that.
Same dude. So that's coming out.
It's a movie about a dog, though, huh?
Yeah,
those are sad.
Yes, they usually are. And there's some limited release movies coming out, but we don't really have time to talk about all of those. One Child Nation, Peanut Butter Falcon, Brian Banks, After the Wedding, all those are going to be hitting limited release this week. So, yeah, there you go. Yep. All right.
Looks like I'm watching Dora.
You're going to watch a Dora this weekend?
Well, there's the only other two choices were like creepy things, right?
You're not going to watch Scary Stories?
No.
Come on, man.
I read them. I don't need to watch them. I don't need to be...
That's going to make it even better, more visceral for you.
Creeped out as a grown man.
You're going to go home and go, ghosts! And there's going to be a creak in the floor, and you're like, Mom, is that you?
Yeah.
And
see, I don't need that in my life.
I need that in your life.
No.
Yes. I think it'd be great for me to hear about like how you got scared and got freaked out. Like that'd be awesome.
2.0 is on Prime, Johnny. But the thing about that is the first movie, In Theron or whatever, I can't remember the name of the first one, is not. And I want to watch them in conjunction. Get my Superstar Rajni Fest on.
Ooh. Is that 2.0? That was the one?
Yeah.
Did you see it in 3D?
No, I didn't get to watch 2.0 when it was in the theater. Because just like every other Hindi or Tamil movie that we get here, it didn't last long.
Nope. There's one right now, I think is what? Over 30?
Super 30.
Super 30?
Yeah, based on the true story of a guy that established a school there. It already left our theater.
Oh, dang it.
Yep, it was there for about a week and a half.
Oh, well, poops. All right, so let's start reviewing movies because we've got to do this. And I've got a lot to talk about, and I know you've probably got a lot to talk about, and we're going to talk about those things. So let's talk about it. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's the 9th film from Quentin Tarantino.
It's a tagline. They keep advertising that.
Yeah, well, but here's the deal. And I don't know how long ago I've had this tangent on the air, if I was just having it with a person at the bar or on the street corner or anywhere some human will listen to me rant about movies, or some human that makes the mistake of talking to me about movies. They go, yeah, I hear you like movies. Do you have like a radio show? And then they go, what'd you think about? And I'm like, oh, here we go. And then they like they throw a Foot Clan smoke bomb down and get out of there. But anyway, Quentin Tarantino. I can't stop me if this is exactly what I said 2 weeks ago. But Quentin Tarantino a lot of people like to think of him as like this artist, like amazing auteur, a brilliant cinematographer, just what an amazing, like a movie maker for people that like movies. And, you know, it's like the TBS movies for guys who like movies, the movie guy, you know, and that's Quentin Tarantino. Like, he makes movies for bros that think they like films. And I understand this, and I like Quentin Tarantino for what Quentin Tarantino is. And let me explain to you what he is. He is not an amazing movie maker. He's not. He's not a brilliant storyteller either. Has he made great movies? Yes. He's made a lot of great movies.
Which ones?
Jackie Brown, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Dusk Till Dawn, which he helped produce. You know.
Oh, well, if you're just getting into that, helped produce.
Well, I mean, it was him and Robert Rodriguez, who is also a pile of farts. Everyone's like, dude, Robert Rodriguez is great. And I was like, oh, yeah, Spy Kids, Lava Girl, Shark Boy. Yeah, tell me again how
the
great.
first one or two Spy Kids are pretty sweet.
Grindhouse.
Yeah, that was a big turd. If From Dusk Till Dawn is good at all, it's only because of Cheech Marin.
And everything about it. George Clooney was badass in it. Even Quentin Tarantino was he was a super creepy, disgusting, awful person, but he was good in it. And anyway, let me finish what I'm talking about Quentin Tarantino. So Quentin Tarantino, and the reason I understand I understand Quentin because Quentin and I are very similar.
You're both Canadians that are mildly mentally unstable with a bad lisp.
Yes. And no, but you know, our background in film is very similar. We both worked in video stores when we were teenagers, and pretty much spent all of our free time watching weird movies from the 60s and 70s and 80s, whatever we could get our hands on, VHS, DVD. Like, the weirder, the more obscure, the better. That's actually how this show was born, is through obscure cinema with a friend of mine, aka the Negative Cutter, who used to actually run a website of lost and obscure films called All Clues, No Solution. Shout out to the Negative Cutter back in season 1 of Driving Speakerbox, like 13 years ago. Anyway, but from then, that in-depth, crazy love of film led us into the film industry, which he ended up kind of sticking with it a little longer and getting into directing. I ended up in sound, and I worked in sound, and then I still do. He was a lot more successful than I was. But, you know, one of the things that we constantly do is we pay homage to these films that we love, and these films that we wish that we could get again, these films that captured something that we want other people to understand. We want people to experience those things that we experience sitting in our living room, either by ourselves or with our close buddy, watching a movie that no one had ever seen before, going, this is awesome. And that's what he does. He makes movies that are basically compilations of pieces of other movies that he loves. Kill Bill never meant to have a sequel. He just kept making scenes that he thought were cool, and then he's like, man, I can't cut all. How do we you know, if you watch any of these old movies, if you watch any Sergio Leone film, if you watch any handful of spaghetti westerns, any old black and white samurai film, any Kurosawa films, if you go back and you watch any Fulci films, or if you watch any the Lone Wolf and Cub, the Master of the Flying Guillotine, like any of these weird old grindhousey films, and you know these movies, and then you watch a Quentin Tarantino movie, it's like, am I watching a reel of all these scenes? Yes, that's exactly what you're doing. You're watching those movies over again. And the way he can navigate that is actually really cool. Okay? There you go. But creating original content, he does not do well. Okay, there we go. We've said it. We've got it out there.
Well, the difference there is that watching a Kurosawa movie is enjoyable and fun, and watching goofy Chinese kung fu movies is kind of fun, and then watching Leone movies, it's like passable. You're like, yeah, I mean, I'll watch it, because Eastwood.
Well, Vince on YouTube just said that there's a YouTube compilation of Quentin Tarantino scenes in the originals side by side. I didn't know this, haven't seen it. Doesn't surprise me because it's not hard to do. And yeah, check it out if you're a Quentin Tarantino fan. Anyway, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino, takes place around the time leading up to the Charles Manson, the famous Hollywood Manson murders. And this movie it's a slow burn. It's pretty long. It's about a 2-hour, 40-minute runtime. I know, right? And so when I went into it, I know the Manson story. I don't need to see that again. I don't want to hear, when I was like, oh God, here we go. We're going to do like this whole Sharon Tate thing and that whole story. And, I've read reviews where people are all mad that, they're, the male gaze is turning Sharon Tate's story just all about men and blah, blah, blah. And Margot Robbie didn't get her time to shine on screen. I was like, give me a second. Let me read this.
Is that a movie with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio?
Well, here's the deal. The movie was a bait and switch. The movie tells you what is going to happen in the title. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And even I didn't even think about it. I didn't think about it. And this is where I actually started to respect this film more, is I didn't think about this movie being a complete fairy tale. How do fairy tales start? Once upon a time in blankety blank blank blank. And this movie is a Hollywood fairy tale. It's not putting on a pedestal old Hollywood. Yes, it's showing ways that things used to be, because it's a period piece, okay? And things were weird back then. There was an idea of cool that doesn't exist anymore that did back then, which we can acknowledge that's kind of, it's neat. Like that, for the whole reason that everybody seems to love Mad Men. That time sucked. Those people were awful. Like everything about that career path that they did was fucking garbage. But everybody across the spectrum is like, yo, Don Draper, he's my dude. Men, women, everybody, Don Draper, heck yeah, Mad Men, that show ruled. Because it was like kind of an accurate portrayal, and then this movie was an accurate portrayal of fantasy, which was so weird to say, because you get up all to the point and you think you know what's going to happen, and you see these roles by Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. You see this buddy cop spaghetti western story playing out, where it's very much a spaghetti western centered around Brad Pitt, even though he's not even the main character. He is definitely the man with no name character in this whole movie. He is the quintessential Western cowboy, except for his best friend is the one playing cowboys in the movies. And there's just so many interesting, fun, like Hollywood parallels if you're a fan of film history. And then at the very, very end, you're like, well, here it comes. It doesn't. It goes totally off the rails, and in a way that how The Departed went off the rails and somehow got a pity Oscar for Martin Scorsese, who didn't deserve it for that pile of crap.
Also with DiCaprio. But went totally off the rails in the way that it absolutely should have been. And then at the end, and it just goes, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It reminds you what it just did. And at that moment, that 2 hours and 41 minutes, you're just like, he got me, dude. He got me, man. Oh, man, look at that. I can't believe. And it ends up being really fun and a pretty interesting, great watch. And making a period piece is hard. Let me tell you. The continuity errors that could possibly happen in a period piece are so unbelievably hard to avoid. I mean, it's hard enough to avoid a Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones, or a pocket watch in Lord of the Rings. But every car, every building, every piece of clothing, every beer that's being consumed, every little detail has to be period specific. You can't be like, well, this is what a wizard looks like. Put him in a robe. Who fucking knows? It's a wizard. But this is like, well, this happened in, L.A. in this very particular year. This is exactly what things look like. And if you mess it up, then it's going to be wrong.
and to see that attention to detail, shot after shot after shot, was actually really, really, really cool. And I had a really good time watching this movie. And I don't normally like Quentin Tarantino movies that much, but I think that this movie was actually really worth a watch. And honestly, Grip, I think you'd like it.
But what about what Vince had just said there about how Bruce Lee's family is not happy about how he was portrayed in the movie? And I've seen a couple of comments from people that I know that do martial arts and
I
respect.
wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with how he portrayed, because I was a Bruce Lee fan my whole life. I grew up watching those movies, and when they made Dragon the Bruce Lee story, like I was the first person in theaters to see that.
I played that Super Nintendo game all the time.
And that was one negative comment that I had while I was sitting in the theater, is the scene with Bruce Lee. I mean, he probably could have cut the whole scene out, and it wouldn't have really impacted anything. But again, I'm thinking like this. By the time you get to the end of it, this is a parallel universe. This is a parallel timeline to what we know as history. And the more I kind of wrap my brain around it, it's like, what lens am I watching this from? Like, as Hollywood at that time didn't take Bruce Lee seriously. And even if you've ever read his memoir, like, he was laughed at, he was joked at, like, a lot of his life, and they just used him to make money until finally he got on his feet enough to where he was calling the shots. And so I don't know. I want to read more about it, because
this is like Green Hornet era,
this was Green Hornet era.
Enter the Dragon.
Mm-hmm. He hadn't at this point in time, because they were like, oh yeah, Kato, and so it was Green Hornet era Bruce Lee, and because I said the same thing. I leaned over in the theater and I was like, Bruce Lee would have killed that dude, and Bruce Lee's way cooler than that. And because he wasn't a big pompous jackass like it was portrayed in the movie. But anyway, that would have been my only complaint, and because I said something about it in the theater.
I mean, I like
the flow like water.
I like older Brad Pitt. I like some of the things that he's been doing. Like Fury was really good, and he was a good character in that. I'm not one of the people that's crazy on board with DiCaprio these days. Now, if we're talking growing pains, you know what I'm saying?
Well, then there we go.
Yeah, and seeing Emile Hirsch in a movie again. When's the last time that happened?
Not often. And Bruce Dern was also in the movie.
What?
Too.
Before he passed away?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
I love me some
Talk
Bruce
about
Dern.
Dudes in Westerns. Bruce Dern famously is the man that shot John Wayne in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And he...
speaking of other dead guys, Luke Perry was in it too.
Luke Perry died?
Yes. We talked about it. Luke
Perry. Yeah, we did.
Yeah. But he was in it. Mr. 8 Seconds himself.
They just announced the 90210 reunion.
Mm-hmm.
What are they going to do?
Well,
CG him in there?
They're gonna pour one out for him. But anyway, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, definitely a film lover's film. Like, there, go in with an open mind and wait till the end. Like, the end is just like, okay, I get it. I get what you just did, because about that 2 hour and 15-minute mark, you're going to be like, what? And then right at the end, you're going to be like, oh, got it. Okay, got it.
Vince just brought up another good point, saying that Bruce Lee's family said they would never say anything bad about Muhammad Ali. Is that, like, do they make Bruce Lee like a really stereotype version of... like a Asian immigrant, or
no
himself?
He was portrayed as just kind of this loudmouth, pompous, like, this is what I do, and I'm gonna, lethal weapons, and I'll kick your butt.
Because his accent and everything always seems to be over exaggerated when they caricature.
It's true. And then Brad Pitt, who is he is the Clint Eastwood of this movie. It was just like, I don't think you're all that tough, big guy. Muhammad Ali would punch you through the wall. And he's like, oh, I doubt it. I would kill Muhammad Ali. And then they go and they fight each other, and they're kind of like equally matched. And exactly, my point. Yeah, that's the face that I made.
All right, because let's
You don't equally match Mr. 1 Inch Punch.
Fun
you just
fact
don't
about real history: at one point in time, Chuck Norris was the baddest human being on the face of the planet, and no one could touch him because he was Mr. Martial Arts and he was super badass. And they asked him to be in a movie, and he goes, "Well, tell me about it." And they said, "Well, you're going to lose to this guy, Bruce Lee." And he goes, "No, I don't lose. I'm Chuck Norris. Not going to happen." And they tried to pursue him to get in this movie time and time again. And he finally met Bruce Lee. And after meeting Bruce Lee, he's like, "Yeah, I'll be in the movie and I'll lose. Like, I'll be killed by Bruce Lee." And there was not a person on the face of the planet that was more badass than Chuck Norris because he won every single tournament. He would come in, super sidekick, great movie.
In boots.
Everybody to death, you know. And then he was like, "Yeah, I'll lose to Bruce Lee. This guy rules."
Exactly, because he ruled. But anyway, so Johnny Dalton over on YouTube says, could he do the perfect splits though? I'm sure he could, but not quite the way Jean-Claude.
Yeah, but that's like a gimmick thing. Yeah.
The muscles from Brussels. I just feel like we need the gif of him dancing with those.
From like Lionheart or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
I want him next to the Power Ranger guy when they're both like in the crowds with their parachute pants on
and like dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, there's so many good Jean-Claude gifs. There's the Bloodsport. And,
hold on, he does it like this.
Oh, he does that like the what's the little clip of the kid, like the Donnie kid coming out and dancing and like goes and yeah, with the like who yeah, there it is. Oh, ooh, yeah, with the little and that scene goes for like 3 minutes. There's so many gifs. Oh gosh, I mean, but here's the thing: we laugh at Jean-Claude Van Damme, but if I had that body, I would wear that outfit. In fact, I'm pretty sure there is a photo of me somewhere on the internet at age like 8. In that exact outfit.
All of us tried to do the splits. Every one of us was like, I want to be in the kumite, and like tried to do like the big splits, break into your Japanese neighbor's house.
Oh, if you're on the live stream, there's a good one. I have not seen that one. There is a good one.
Oh, the best gift from Bloodsport is him and Bolo Young, and he's like screaming into the microphone, and Bolo Young's like playing the drums. Yeah,
oh, it's good. It is good. So anyway, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's out there. You can check it out. So I think now we need to talk about the elephant in the room. The Hobbs and Shaw in the room.
We can talk about any movie you want as long as it's Fast and Furious.
Well, let's talk about it.
Well, you know what, man?
Yeah, there's me in the. I just pulled up a picture.
It's so good.
I pulled up a picture of me in that exact Jean-Claude Van Damme outfit. I'm gonna show it over here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the suspenders, the black tank top, the high-waisted pants, the gray boots. Yeah, it's there.
No time to talk about Hobbs and Shaw. No way, man. We got to.
All right.
Man, you know what? You saying that...
I mean, crack me open another Corona if we're going to be talking about Hobbs and Shaw, dude.
Yeah.
Give me one of these. Give me one of these. There it is. There it is. All right.
You need one over there, Chun?
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
About family. And buddy cop movies, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Because saying that about Once Upon a Time, man, Hobbs and Shaw was straight up Tango and Cash.
Yeah, it was.
And it was awesome.
Dumb. Oh, wait.
Wrong. Man, it was funny. You had action. There were great cameos. It stepped far away from the Fast and Furious
cameos. And if you say Kevin Hart, I'm taking your beer away.
You loved it, dude.
No, like that was the last thing. As soon as Kevin Hart like goes, "Hey man, if the Rock's in this movie, I'm gonna be in this movie. Look at how short I am. Let me make a joke about how short I am. Let me make a joke about how stupid and short I am. You guys notice how short I am? Watch, I'm gonna be in the bathroom doing a business call because I'm small. Check it out.
I didn't want you to give away the cameo in the movie.
I don't need to give it away. Have you seen Kevin Hart in a Rock movie? All of them. It's that.
Not happen.
It's that.
Man, it was good. It's not Fast and Furious. It's far from it.
It has no. There's no Fast and Furious.
The only thing Fast and Furious about it is the characters that appear of Hobbs and Shaw, and they make mention of like Mr. Nobody and things like that. But this movie could be a good jumping off point, and I think they did it the right way, where it actually takes place after the next movie in the series, so that if you watch this and you have questions about it, well, guess what? So do the rest of us. All of us that have watched the last 8 movies have questions too. And so it gives you time to go back and watch all of them to catch up and get ready for the next one.
To get ready for.
Mm-hmm.
Because
they just wrapped
to get ready for it.
Yeah, they just wrapped week 4 or 5 on principal photography.
Did they?
Yeah, dude, I'm keeping track of it.
Did
Super
they?
Stoked. It was fun. It was Tango and Cash. It was what Stuber was trying to be. It was more funny than what I had expected it to be. There were a lot of good jokes in it. Dude, it was sick.
I will say that there was a good joke in it, and it was Hobbs and Shaw.
Whatever. They were funny. There's a lot of Dwayne Johnson producing in this movie. It really has like that The Rock movie thing going on for it.
Oh yeah, even does the people's eyebrow.
Yeah, well, see, but things like that were fun. Like there were Easter eggs in the movie, like photos of The Rock in it, him watching things about himself on the TV that you'd have to have like knowledge of getting into, pictures of him from wrestling. Him and Roman Reigns did wrestling moves that they were famous for. They had like quotes that they would use, like their lines from wrestling. Dude, stuff like that was fun. There were Easter eggs for both Fast and Furious the series, Dwayne Johnson as The Rock, all the fun stuff, man.
And they even got Jason Statham to uncountably say the word job, which is something I've been making fun of on the Drive-In Speakerbox probably about as long as we've been on the air. It's going to be Jason Statham doing a job the way he does a job. No one else is going to be on this job but me. It's my job, not your job. We're going to do the job. We're going to get done with the job, and then we're going to apply for another job because this is the last job before I get unemployed, and I'm going to have to get unemployment until I find a new job.
So every time he talked, it did sound like that. That's pretty good. But, you know...
I could do a Jason Statham. I just can't do that. I can't kick a bottle cap off a water bottle, though.
Yeah. I thought everything about it was better than I expected it to be, which was fun. It had a lot of humor in it, which I wasn't expecting. I think David Leitch kind of got to expand his directorial repertoire a little bit. But at the same time...
He needed a better script supervisor and a better gaffer.
Well, okay, so the one scene, I saw what you were talking about.
Where
dawn happened in 50 seconds.
50 seconds. It went from pitch black morning to high noon, back to darkness again in 25 minutes. I know that there was a storm that raged. But where were the clouds?
It was rainy. Have you ever been?
No. Where were the clouds?
Have you ever been to Samoa?
Have you ever seen what 24 minutes looks like?
Yeah. But have you ever been to Samoa?
No.
Okay, well then you don't know. That's all I'm saying.
I didn't know that the weather there was governed by fairies.
Dude, it's an island, bro.
Apparently, but there was some.
It's governed by island mana, player.
Well, that mana needs to learn how time and meteorology works.
So the one thing too about it though,
it was like the showdown scene had more continuity errors than I've ever seen on screen.
Same thing with John Wick.
No.
Yeah, the first one.
It was like, we've got 6 minutes before these guys can use their guns, and then the job's over. And then there like, all right, we've got a 6 minute window, and it's
25 minutes.
It's dark outside, and there's fire, and they're like, and the guys come up, and they're like, oh, what do we do? Oh, there's guns, and my guns don't work. And it goes, all right, the timer starts, and it's like, all right, okay, 29. 20, 29, 59, 58, 57. And then all of a sudden, and then instantly, there's like a helicopter at high noon, and then there's like the shadow directly underneath the helicopter. Not a cloud in the sky.
So high noon, hold on though. You said something about like Leon and being like a Western. This one was kind of like that.
Yeah, but
it's like a good, bad, and ugly type thing.
But Ennio Morricone wasn't like, ooh, now it's night. Ooh, so now it's morning.
My favorite thing here is that you're nitpicking one scene because it was a pretty good movie.
Okay, how about this scene? How about the fact that
the only thing
Vanessa Kirby, her character, who was the sister of Jason Statham's character, they grew up together in the rough streets of wherever they talk like this, and they were
England.
They were pulling McJaggers on people and pulling scams and like doing ne'er-do-well shit, And then, we grew up with we're brother and sister, came out the womb together, high five together, scam boys together, and I hadn't seen you in like 8 years. Meanwhile, I don't know how, but I'm 52 and you're 31. I guess you got trapped in a time bubble somewhere and didn't age for 30 years.
But hold on. Jason Statham has looked the same from 30 to 50.
Yeah, but we all know, and she didn't. We all know that he's like 50. Everybody knows he's not.
Watch the Transporter
Vanessa
and then
Kirby's
watch this.
Age. I know Jason Statham is immortal as Keanu, but you trying to sell me that Vanessa Kirby and Jason Statham? I'm not.
Why not talk about how Idris Elba's character was kind of a little bit of a letdown because he was a bit one-dimensional and didn't get to flesh out, and that would have been a little more interesting.
Took the words right out of my mouth, bro. The whole
but he still had the good, he had a whole villain thing going that made him villain for them to fight.
So there's an Illuminati group that can apparently create Terminators, cybernetic, crazy people that can withstand cars hitting them and can. I mean, I don't know what universe.
It went pretty James Bond on us.
It went all Bond, and then Deadpool showed up for a while and 8 scenes
because David Leitch.
And then, we had
8 scenes.
Well, yeah, we had all these scenes with Deadpool going, quirky joke. So, like he does every time.
Why are you doing this? You're taking the fun out of it.
I know, because that was just me in the theater. And then
for them, so they can.
Because we're unbiased. We're giving it both sides. And I get it. Buddy cop movies, it's supposed to be okay, guy doesn't like you don't like this guy. You're gonna go through and come out at the end. You're gonna be stronger, and the bond is gonna be there. I get it. Tango and Cash, Lethal Weapon, every buddy cop movie that wrote the books on buddy cops. It's you don't like each other. We get it. You're gonna love each other by the end. Unbreakable bonds. That's how they're formed.
Yeah, but it was still it was like the good, the bad, and the ugly though too.
Every single scene, they're just hey, fart knocker. Yeah, what up, fart breath? Hey, fart knocker. What up, fart breath? I don't like you. I still don't like you. Guess what? I just gave you a wedgie. Well, I'm gonna give you one back. Oh, well, I gave you a Melvin. You like Melvins? They're from the UK. Oh, well, where I come from in Small, we gonna give you an island pancake. Ever heard of that? And then he's like, what's an island pancake? It sounds like stupid. I eat island pancakes for breakfast. And he's like, oh, you would over in UK, you cockney piece of shit. And he's like, oh, you want to fight about it? And then, Kevin Hart goes,
so that's
and then
that's exactly how all of them are.
It's exactly how every single scene in this movie went. And then how many times...
But it was good, though. It was fun.
How many times did they have to fight Idris Elba before they figured out,
Twice.
Wait, no, it was 4 times with Idris Elba's eye going, go peep, skip, goop, calculating a fist at my face, impacting, which was also really ridiculous. And, the Idris Elba eye got really silly after a while. And then it's I'd seen the Idris Elba eye 8 times. And then actually, guess what? Somebody stand behind him and hit with a crowbar while the other guy's looking at him. Who doesn't think of these things? And they're like, no, we're too busy fighting it out. And then it required them having bro love before that they could use their bro love because they had to make it about family.
The bike was cool in the same.
The bike was a transformer.
In the same scene that you see it in the trailer. Unfortunately,
It was like, and it always has like motorcycles that have. Yeah,
cool.
Any movie, action movie that goes, we're gonna make this car or motorcycle or airplane or whatever it is do something absolutely ridiculous and stupid. You know what? There's a sound that the Foley artists attach to things that they can't explain. They're like, no, dude, this is just this doesn't make sense. Can we not have the bike turn into a briefcase and slide under a car and then turn back into a briefcase and then somehow manage
never
to
turn into a briefcase.
Turn tiny and then have the spatial awareness enough to go rescue its rider without falling over, and then transforming back into a larger, more independent. But then the Foley artists are like, dude, use the sci-fi noise. It's like that same noise that every future machine that they're like, it's gonna do something stupid, you guys. And it goes.
But did you not have fun though?
I don't know.
It was fun.
I don't know if I had that much fun.
I don't know if I had that much fun. Okay,
it could have been
guys.
the alcohol that I drank, because when I got to that theater, I was like, I'm gonna need a drink. So I went up to the bar and they're like, bar's closed. And I was like, why? It's Sunday. Give it to me. And they're like, well, we won't have a bartender until 4 o'clock. We can give you a beer or a wine. And I was like, a beer or a wine is not going to get me through Hobbs and Shaw. I was like, I need the hard stuff. And she's like, well, at 4 o'clock, we'll have a bartender. And so I'm like, all right, well, my movie's at 4 o'clock. So I got 20 minutes to get this drink. So I go over there. I wait. 4 o'clock. And I noticed, shout out to my bartender homies, but I noticed they had flanking the bar, there was 2 frozen drink machines. One of them was red, one of them was white. And I was like, if that is a pina colada and a strawberry daiquiri, I'm going to go into the Vice zone and slurp myself a delicious ice-cold Miami Vice while I watch Hobbs and Shaw. And that's exactly what I did. And
well, that's fun because you know what's my
the lady was like, what do you want me to do?
Buddy cop.
I know. And so the lady, she was like, say what now? And I was like, all right, I want you to take the pina colada. I want you to take the strawberry daiquiri. I want you to mix them together. It's called a Miami Vice.
But only this much at a time. Run back and forth.
Yeah, do laps. Because if I'm going to pay $25 for this thing, you better make it the right way. And she's like, I don't understand. You're mixing drinks? And I was like, yeah, you're a bartender. You should understand this very much. But anyway, I got it.
Bartender in a movie theater.
True life. But it got me. There were fun bits. Just like Idris Elba said, there are some fun parts.
Yeah.
Like when they make somehow a chain of cars to hold a helicopter that is specifically designed to lift way more weight than a chain full of cars.
Of custom trucks.
Were they made out of lead?
Dude, they could be. Who knows, man? But the fun thing is, this is the first time that you've seen pickup trucks in Fast and Furious since the first movie.
Are you kidding? I didn't even notice that. Wow.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
I'm not putting a pickup truck on the shelf. Not
I have one.
Not gonna do it.
Even though I don't like Fords at all, I do have the Ford Lightning that Brian drives in the first one, just because it was like...
Wait. There was a pickup truck in the first one?
Yeah.
What'd you say? It was the first pickup truck since the first one?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I forgot what you said immediately after you said it because it was about pickup trucks and Fast and the Furious. So, is Mater in it?
In fact, they do use those hooks. Remember? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, it was a fun movie. It was a one of those things where it's like it's a ride that you go on and you're just along for it, and it's a good time. There's jokes, there's action, there's buddy cop. You have like the whole Tango and Cash thing mixed with James Bond and what? Good, Bad, and Ugly all coming together with a large dose of Dwayne Johnson.
The large dose of something. Well, you know, this is not going to be the last job at all.
No, I hope not, man. This is setting up to spawn like a whole Hobbs series.
And what's the deal with Jason Statham and turtlenecks and collars? Does he have like a
Well, they make
tumor?
but they make a joke about it in the movie.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you need to put another jacket on or whatever. I remember him saying that.
That's cool. Just, give away all the cameos and jokes in the movie for sure.
Oh, because like, hold your breath. They're gonna make a joke, like, you know.
Whatever, man.
It was an experience, you guys.
I liked it. Everyone I went with liked it. Did you stay for all of the Marvel-esque after credits scenes?
I stayed for some of them.
Just scene after scene after scene.
I forgot them. Tell me what happened. Don't spoil it, but spoil it.
You can't without. Yeah.
I mean, is it?
Anyhow,
is it a spoiler?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
But is it though? Like, you're gonna really upset somebody by going, "Yeah, they drove this car."
No, but that's the one thing. That's what I'm saying. There's not a lot of Fast and Furious stuff left in it. It's more James Bondsy. They have the one McLaren P1, and then the custom trucks. And other than that, there's no like sports vehicles or anything for you to really get Fast and Furious jazzed about, you know. Which was disappointing because I washed my car to take it to the theater in the hopes that it'd be like all the previous Fast and Furious movies where it's kind of like a miniature car meet and
Everybody in the parking lot going,
yeah. Well, I leaned over to my buddy and I told him, I was like, I'm going to perform all of these stunts that they tell us not to in the parking lot after this movie.
I'm going to drive my car on a hook up a chain and pull down a helicopter.
Or up all that scaffolding and through all of that glass with no windshield and just like not get my eyeballs chopped out and die forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so as I pulled up to the theater, my friend that was waiting on me, he goes, "Hey, man, where are you? There's a Honda here that's being really loud. You can race for pinks." And I was like, I do need another car. Race Wars.
Race Wars. To answer Vince's question over on YouTube on our our YouTube Live, yes. Not in the movie, but in real life. Yes. The actress that plays is 21 years younger.
Doesn't matter. Vin Diesel's
Hey,
5 years older
I say
than
that
The
all
Rock.
the time. Doesn't matter.
Vin Diesel's in his mid-50s. And he's 5 years older than The Rock.
That just, the only thing that movie gives me hope for is like, I still have time to get in shape. Like that's what that movie says. It's like, oh, all is not lost. I can get rid of this pizza gut. Because they're in their 50s and look at them. So
No,
I still
The
got
Rock's
time.
not. I think The Rock is it's like maybe 40. Maybe a little older. I think he's maybe mid 40s at most.
He is 47.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so almost 50. There you go. I've got plenty of time to turn into The Rock. So yeah,
Well, but all these dudes were like fit in their teens and 20s.
I've never been fit in my life. I came out of the womb. Just switch that I with an A, and there we go.
Yeah, see, like Vince said, I mean, if you quit putting a magnifying glass to it like you are, trying to find things wrong with it, you can just have fun with it, man.
Yeah.
They fleshed out the characters of Hobbs and Shaw. You get backstories. You get a fun action comedy adventure movie, globe-trotting buddy cop.
I will say,
You liked his mom.
yeah, she was cool. I will say, and I like Jason Statham. I really do. Why do you think I can do his voice? But I will say that I enjoyed this movie more than most Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. So that there is that.
It was very Captain America. This movie was really similar to Civil War or some of the other like Captain America movies that Marvel's put out.
No, they're you know, jokes aside and ranting aside, what the group is saying is actually it's true. It's a ride. It's silly. You shouldn't take it seriously. I mean, there's nothing about it you should take seriously. Period. By the 20th minute of the movie, you'll forget why they're doing whatever it is they're doing.
No, they remind you constantly. But
The virus.
Yeah.
Virus.
There are the negative points.
Like
that
every plot point of every action movie, there's a virus.
they could have fleshed out Idris Elba's character a little better to make him more of a villain rather than wait for the sympathetic portion of it. Far too into whatever arc they were trying to generate for him. And I think David Leitch used some of that taken directing you were talking about, because anytime there was a cool stunt or action scene, the camera cut away a bunch. And that's supposed to be what David Leitch, where he shines, is in the stunts department there, being a stuntman himself, filming John Wick, doing Atomic Blonde, and with a movie like this, working with Jason Statham and The Rock, people who are very familiar with things like that, bringing in people like Roman Reigns, a.k.a. Joe Anawai, and having them there to do stunts because they are professional stunt performers. They kind of, I think he had too many cuts and takes on something that could have all been done in one shot that would have been more impressive that way. So
Agreed.
But as long as you're not sitting there being a film goober like us and being like, oh, all these like 10 takes for one stunt is ruining this or whatever, it's fun. You have a good time.
Question from YouTube. It says, is Idris Elba a super soldier or an alien? He's kind of a super soldier. He'd been implanted with nanites.
And they explain how he came to be that way to develop the other characters on screen and create backstories.
It does loosely, with hilarious like movie physics, explain how that actually came to pass. So you do get a little of exposition about it. It's nanites.
Anyhow,
virus.
this was a good holdover until we can get the next real Fast and Furious movie.
Okay.
Dude, I need Fast and Furious in my life.
You got a need for speed.
I do. I need that Top Gun too. My mom is very excited about watching Hobbs and Shaw, so she started watching all of the Fast and Furious movies, and I've watched the majority of them with her, and it gets me so amped every time going through the whole series. Can't get enough of it, man. I watched 7 before I came here. Cried real hard. Not ashamed.
Oh my god,
dude. That's the thing about Fast and Furious movies, man. When you're watching those movies, you're family, dude. You pass out the Coronas.
Yeah, when you're watching those movies, it's like you're at Olive Garden.
No, dude, but for real, like everyone there has similar interest in the movies and the characters and cars. And when something happens, every time I've watched a Fast and Furious movie in the theater, there is an audience reaction.
Mass ejaculation.
Yeah, sure, why not? But like at the end credit scenes, people are like, oh, snap. Or, if something happens, everyone uproars at the same time. And you're all there for the same reason. And watching those is fun for those of us that enjoy them like that. And I think that's why you make fun of them. It's not something, it's like, it's not your family, so it's weird to you,
It's a weird cousin that like eats his boogers, and I'm like,
okay,
what are you doing over
see
there?
what you're doing. But for the rest of us, it's like, I don't know, it's important.
It's like, let's eat those boogers, man.
No, dude, it's
salty,
it's culture,
they're chewy,
man.
they're good. No, also from Facebook, it says the only thing that they want is hey, there's those
Right
Coronas. All they want is Fast 10 to be called Fast 10 your seatbelts.
Yep.
Which it will be. So there you go. Let's do the box office roundup because we're running out of time here on this very special episode. But we're going to give you the box office roundup for the past 2 weeks, actually. So it's August 2nd through 4th is our current weekend. We're going to tell you what movies have made money, what didn't. We're going to start with number 10. We're going to go all the way up to number 1. And if you're on Fantasy Movie League or any of those things, this is all really good information. You can take that. These are all domestic numbers. This is just North America only. And here we go. Number 10, Annabelle Comes Home from Warner Brothers, bring in $878,000, not even breaking the million mark at the number 10 spot. 6 weekends out has brought it in $71 million at the box office. Number 9, Aladdin from Buena Vista bringing in $2.1 million at the box office, and 11 monstrous weeks still at the box office. That is absolutely crazy. $183 million budget has brought in $350 million nationwide. Number 8, Crawl, which is actually going to be playing at our local drive-in this weekend.
Oh, dang. They're finally getting rid of Toy Story.
Yeah, it's Spider-Man and Crawl, but Crawl, like, that is the perfect style of movie for a drive-in viewing. Like, you could not pick a better movie to see at a drive-in. But it brought in $2.1 million at the box office. 4 weekends out has brought in $36.1 million up against its $13.5 million budget. Number 7, The Farewell from A24 in its 4th weekend release, bringing in $2.4 million. So far, bringing in a total of $6.8. Number 6, Yesterday from Universal, bringing in $2.4 million in its 6th weekend release. $26 million budget has brought it in $67.9 million.
The movie's held on for a lot longer than I would expect. Yeah.
And you can go back 6 episodes ago, or I guess 5 episodes ago, and check out that our review of that one. Number 5, Toy Story 4 from Buena Vista, out there for 7 weeks, so you can go back 6 episodes ago and check out that review. 7 with $7.9 additional million, $160 million budget, bringing in $360 million. And let's just see how that deal with Sony has gone. Spider-Man Far From Home has crossed the billion mark worldwide with $1.075 billion. So just cresting the billion mark, which Marvel promised to do. So Spider-Man remains in the reigns of the planes of Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we are going to continue to see some more Marvel-controlled Spider-Man movies that are still Sony produced, but Marvel controlled. For those of you that don't know how the whole deal went down, you can check that out. It's on previous episodes, but we kind of spell out how that whole thing worked and went down. Number 3, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood from Sony, bringing in $20 million, a really good second weekend release. $90 million budget has so far brought in $78 million at the box office, doing very well for Mr. Tarantino. Number 2, no big surprise there for its 3rd week in a row, Lion King from Buena Vista, bringing in $38.5 million, despite bad reviews, despite a lot of people saying, just everybody's got to see it for themselves.
Yeah, you know what? I was going to say, so a couple people in the past week have said something to me about going to watch it, and they're like, maybe I shouldn't watch the new one. I was like, yeah, don't watch it. I was like, the songs are terrible. It's done poorly. It's 30 extra minutes, but tries to be shot for shot. Where does the extra 30 minutes come from? It's bad, and the one thing that should be good is the music, and the worst offender is Beyonce, whose song is terrible. And they're like, well,
I'm going to see for myself.
I have to see it for myself. They're like, I know it's going to be bad. And I've read nothing but negative reviews. There's not one positive review, and they're like, but I have to watch it because I have to. And it's like, that you don't.
That's a part of the problem here, you guys, is guys like us, we do have to, because we're going to report to you. And it kills me to see something, because I don't want to pay for some of these movies. I really don't want to give this ticket price. I don't. However, when studios know that if they make a movie, it doesn't necessarily have to be quality controlled, tested, kid tested, mother approved, or like Kicks, they're going to keep making them because they know that you're going to go. That's what they call craveable, and you're going to. This is a new marketing like buzzword that you're going to see on. It's going to start. You're going to see it on your food. You're going to see it in. It's craveable. You just crave it, and you don't know why. You don't actually want it. You crave it. You don't need it. You crave it, and so they want to make these things that are craveable. So you'll go out just regardless. You're just going to go and give it money. You're just gonna. I just have to. I just have to go try the KFC Cheetos.
Yeah, don't do that.
Chicken sandwich.
We're the idiots that bought into that too.
Because that's what we do.
It's bad.
We're those idiots, and but we do that so that we can post about it and tell you about it, so you don't have to go. You know, we'll jump in front of those bullets for you. It's like we're the bodyguard, and we're Kevin Costner, and you're Whitney, and just let us be Costners for you.
And We'll watch movies for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll also eat chicken sandwiches. Yeah, if you need somebody to go out and do that for you, you just let us know. You can like and subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, all those things. We're there. And the number one movie in America, Fast and Furious presents Hobbs ampersand Shaw. From Universal, bringing in $60 million in its opening weekend. $200 million budget, $60 million domestic, but...
And it had a normal weekend, right? It wasn't like a Monday night opening.
Just
it wasn't
normal.
like coming in on Wednesday hot. No, it was like opened on Friday, like it's a normal movie.
And it had a foreign gross of $119 million at the box office. So a lot of cash money flowing in for the Fast and Furious franchise. We will see how well that holds up, because we do have a lot more movies coming out this weekend, so a lot more options there, so a lot less show times, which means a lot less butts in seats.
I don't think there's anything that really detracts from the audience that this movie's aimed for, though. You know.
No, I will not disagree with that. So there you go, and that's our box office report, and that's it, man. That's our show. We're done. We wrapped it up. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Find us on Facebook at The Drive-In Speakerbox, or on YouTube, youtube.com/The Drive-In Speakerbox. You can always subscribe to our podcast on TuneIn, Spotify, Google Music, Apple Podcast, whatever it is. Share it, talk about it, tell more friends about it, because that's what we like. We don't get paid for doing this. We actually spend a lot of money doing this.
Yeah.
So we thank you. We'll see you guys next week. We're going to finish these Coronas and call it a night.